Okay. All right. I think we're ready to get started here. What do you think? All right. I think we're ready to get started. All right. Enough of that music. Okay. If you guys are ever having issues with the quality within the server, feel free to go over to the YouTube and watch there. I am paying attention to the live chat as well if questions do come through. And for obvious reasons, because my camera is using OBS, I can't have it on in the Discord. So if that matters to you, head over to the YouTube channel and watch it live there, so you can see my pretty pink hat and the bright light behind me. Hope everyone's had a fantastic week. Kind of want to go around and ask if anybody had any awesome wins that they are proud of, that they accomplished this week. Feel free to leave that in the chat or raise your hand. I want to hear it, or at least read it. I want to see that you guys are making moves in your lives, right? That's the whole point. But if you're new to the server, we host these events. It doesn't need to be graphic design related. It can be just life related. I want to hear those wins. If you're new to the server, we host work reviews every month. It's kind of a big old shindig where people post their work that they want critique on, and I give you my honest thoughts, right? So if you're in the server, and you want to give some additional context into a particular piece, just raise your hand or leave some comments so that I understand a little bit more into your thought process, in case something is confusing. So, Asami, you got to see your baby. That's fantastic. A little boy. That's fantastic. Do you have a name yet? Coda. I love that. Well, congratulations. Hope everything is smooth sailing from here on out. No, that's wonderful. Gonna have to get him into designing. Anyway, I'll read your wins throughout the stream. If you want to drop them in, just something that you felt good about that happened this week, I want to hear it. So without further ado, I do want to get started on the work review. The first thing on my list is Saru. Saru is a good buddy of mine. Fantastic animator, fantastic video editor, and fantastic designer as well. He's been dabbling a little bit more into the what's it called? Video editing area. So this particular one here, let me get more specific here. There we go. Now you should be able to hear the audio. What Saru said is that he did the motion graphics and most of the editing, but I would stop watching after the first 30 seconds. Okay, let's check this out.
Bullying kids in Minecraft Legends. The game came out not that long ago, and I thought it would be funny to hop on multiplayer and play the game how it's certainly not intended. Your team of 4 players is meant to defend your tower and take down the enemy tower. You can place defenses like walls and archer towers anywhere you want. You can also command troops like stone golems and dark goblins. The goal of this video is to completely surround the enemy base with a base of our own so that no one can escape. I hopped into this first game with 2 college friends, Sam and Bixby.
We're live, alright.
Okay. So there's a lot going on there, you guys. I don't think he's in the thing here, but he did all the motion graphics for
Bullying
this.
kids in Minecraft Legends. The
Did
game came
that.
out not that
Boom,
long
boom,
ago,
boom,
and
boom,
I thought
boom.
it'd be funny to hop on
And the
multiplayer
text
play
here.
the game how it's certainly not
Zoom
intended.
in.
Your team of it would be funny to hop on multiplayer and play the game how it's certainly not intended. Your
So how does this pop up?
and play the game how it's certainly not intended. Your
So that comes in really fast, slows down,
team of
and this kind of has like a kind of like a swoop in with it, right? Wish there's a way for me to go back a couple frames.
your team of
Kind of like swoops in a little bit and then zooms in
4 players
into it as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he designed this book as well, but if not, it's still just a really good asset because or he cut it out. I'm not quite sure. It doesn't really matter. He's using it really well.
is meant to
Everything pops out really seamlessly.
Your team of 4 players
Really huge nitpick that you excuse me. Really huge nitpick that I noticed right here is that you can literally see when the llama gets a bunch of llamas behind it. Let me show you.
certainly not intended. Your team of
So
4
llama pops up right here, right? Just as normal. You see how it got super thick for a second?
players
So that's just an overlap thing, right? All of those particular llamas are overlapping at the same time. What I would recommend instead to do on that timeline is to just have them appear right as they're leaving the first one, right?
and your tower
Little
and
sheen.
take down the enemy tower. Certainly not
I think
intended.
that something that
Your
could be
team of 4
that you
players
could
is meant to
benefit
defend
with
your
this
tower,
on, and part of the reasons why that's powerful is because
certainly not intended. Your team of 4 players is meant to defend your tower and take down the enemy tower.
this top tower kind of comes in from nothing, right? It has a little bit of like a bounce to it. So when you add that sheen afterwards, it feels more rewarding. This bottom tower here
Team of 4
does
players
not
is meant to
feel
defend
as
your
rewarding
tower and
because it
take
just
down
kind
the
of
enemy tower.
has a really quick static jolt and then it sheens, right? It's not as a rewarding visual experience than the top one. So I would want to recommendation, keep things as consistent as possible with everything else that's going on here, right? Because
Certainly not intended.
I mean, for those that
Your
are
team of
kind of
4
for those that are watching in the chat,
players is
you
meant
may
to defend your tower.
understand what I'm talking about. Like that little bounce.
Players is meant to defend your tower. Players is meant to defend your
Zoom in, sheen.
tower and take down the enemy.
Pops up really fast, sheen. Not as fun, not as visually appealing, right? As it could be. That's my recommendation there. It's really really small, but that little minute detail is really gonna, I think personally, elevate your animation style.
You can place defenses like walls and archer towers.
Walls and archer towers, boom.
Anywhere you want. You can also
Okay.
command troops like stone golems and dark eye.
I'm a little bit visually confused about this because down here we have the troops, stone golems and the wooden things, but then like a little clip of it appears over here. I almost feel like parts of the book need to be moving around so that when you go over the key buildings, for example,
Walls and archer towers.
if there was like an example of the footage, it would pop up underneath it
Anywhere
to show
you
what that
want.
looks like in game.
You can also command
And the
troops
same thing
like
with
stone
this, right? It just doesn't make any sense for me, structure wise, for this to be all the way to the right and kind of like an obtuse area, and then also have my eyes paying attention to like gameplay footage that's happening next to it. Definitely push the troops up. Get rid of the key buildings. We're not talking about that anymore. Put the troops there. Put the footage underneath the troops. Make it more visually cohesive.
The goal of this video is to completely surround the enemy
Okay, that's good. Okay.
base with the base of our own so that no one can escape. I hopped into this first game with 2 college friends, Sam and Bixby.
We're live.
Okay. So that's kind of, I had another nitpick, but it's more about kind of how you handle the structure of using the book rather than like, you know, because everything is cohesive when it's staying right here. But what I would probably have approached differently personally is
This video
after the objective over here, like we're done talking about that, right? I would have that vanish.
is to
And when it's time to start talking about building around, I would have the building on the orange building on the left pop up and have the thing build around. Or let's say the blue building on the left, and then on the right, everything vanishes. Everything's centered in the middle. Orange building gets built around, and then you have the blue llamas go across the pages and attack that area. That way it shows a little bit more of a... Going from one page to the next, I think, in itself is a little bit of like a storytelling in a way, right? Because I imagine this game is not too easy. It's a strategy game, right? So moving from one page to the next, moving from one area to the next, that's the whole objective of the game, right? So I know that Saru is not in the stream right now, but I'll direct his attention to this area. But that's just more of like a creative difference rather than like a critique on the skill that was used to actually make the motion happen. Okay. Next. Thank you, Saru. Oops. Next we have Taz. Taz is a wonderful community member of ours. He will also be kind of reviewing back into this. First of all, love the grain here. Love the blending of the grain here, right? Oops. The blending, come on. The blending of the grain here and then go into sharp lines, great. We have some shadows going on here. Good landscaping. These are a little bit wonky looking. There's like a, oh, I see why. The reason why there's a blur is because of it's like a vignette of blur. Probably make that vignette a little bit smaller, personally. It's more Minecraft related, which is fine. This to me looks great, except for the E getting kind of absorbed into the honey. We want it to maintain this particular lettering. We want it to maintain legibility and impact. If it's getting too involved with the background, it's going to start coming off as one entire shape. So when we have all of this kind of high contrast that then just ends right here, right? There's not a lot of other hints, because to me, like upon first glance, including right here, I just thought that was just the shape of the outline, right? But in reality, that's just it being absorbed into the background, which I think is a little bit of a slight. Just probably remove that, to be honest. When it comes to the sparkle stars, I don't know why these are two different stars. This is a really bouncy, really vibrant graphic. So having these really sharp stars here don't really fit when these other ones over here exist. So I would literally just change it to be more consistent style-wise. And another thing to kind of highlight the impact that this logo, this design is supposed to have. When you blend this in with the background, it becomes one shape. And what you tried to do to compensate for that is add a blur vignette around the entire graphic so that the highlight of the area is dead center for our eyes. But you shouldn't have to do that too intense if it's already got a good impact for itself, right? But right here, again, like, trust me, maybe even putting this coming over the top is fine because it has a better contrast. And I understand, like, visually that there's like something going on here. This is just kind of like a blob going over it without much context that it's honey that's creating that disconnect. Graphics here are good, that with the objects. The bees up here almost feel like when I look at a piece personally, I ask myself that if there is a character of some kind that is facing one direction, are all of them in my piece facing the exact same direction? And in this case, the answer is yes. So just a little bit of a tidbit, a little bit of a pet peeve that I like to take care of. Even if it's a small change, add an additional bee or take one, put it on a different area, and have it face the other direction. If we're talking about character archetypes, right? So eyes are important. Character direction, head direction is important. It helps us as viewers understand where to look, right? In this case, it's not so bad because, right, the bees up here on the top are technically looking at this really rounded area, which is sliding our eyes into the graphic. Great, but I want an additional bee to help us guide ourselves forward, right? Remember, our eyes look at things from a Z formation, right? We go from top left, top right, then we cut across to bottom left, and then cut across to bottom right. So I think it helps that you have this really rounded object. But again, it's the only object that's facing that direction. That's helping it slide. This is helping with the Z part, with the cross, but we need some extra help having us look in this direction anyway. So, next we have Mango Designs. Mango, I know that you're in here. Was there a particular area you wanted me to pay attention to? Because I think I've reviewed the last two logos that you've done. It was a while ago, but the critique would be the same. Where do you want me to be looking here?
This
Okay. let's work myself backwards then. So we have this heart object. We have the hook bird. Actually appreciate the backgrounds here. Cloud Sea. We have the beaker, which looks quite nice. Total holdings. I don't know what the MW is. That might be the initials of the owner, but total holdings. Text seems really not substantial enough to deal with this really heavy mark. Like this is a very, very thick and heavy, demands attention type of mark, and then we have this really thin text. And I feel like the mark is just gonna like crush what's below it. The font itself is also not calling out to me either. It's very Myriad Pro type of look. MW total holdings. Okay, that makes sense. Because it's something that needs to be pronounced in tandem together, having more elements within your total concept, your entire concept, they need to be more cohesive. When you have a super thin font in comparison to this really thick and heavy mark, it's going to create some division, right? I like that this was aligned. I like that this is aligned, but so what I mean by aligned is that the text down here does not extend further outward from the bounds, or let's say the margins of the top mark. So that looks good. It's something that I always look at. But again, if we want this to look like a really solid piece, rectangle, right? Because that's what this is essentially forming if I were to connect the dots. You're gonna need to have this font be thicker. I don't think you can get that with this particular font type. I think it's a little bit unsubstantial, unremarkable. Yeah, so going from thick to thin, we're talking about the balancing of weight here, the hierarchy, if you will. That's something I would recommend that you dive a little bit deeper in. I won't go over on here just because there's other people that would like to have their stuff reviewed, but visual hierarchy is incredibly important to understand when developing logo marks for companies. Because this tells me, this particular mark tells me it's going to be on a big skyscraper building, right? They're going to be paying money to have everything designed to be put on that building. But if from a distance you can't read total holdings, then it's just going to be the MW. And they spent all that money on getting the total holdings part made. Maybe cost thousands of dollars to get it mounted and made, and you can't even read it from a distance. So we need to make sure that that's cohesive. Okeon, my gripe about this is that it's going in one direction when there's a curve. The direction of this point should be in the same axis as the curve, right? Because this starts to go upwards a little bit, but it does not really curve all that well upwards at all. So to clarify, when I'm looking at this, everything, I'm moving my hands and stuff. Moving my hands and stuff on the stream. But hold on. But essentially, so let's see if I can zoom in. This little hook here is 90 degrees to the left, but the curve that you're doing is not 90 degrees to the left. So it's going down a little bit, and so should your hooks as it goes through. Does that make sense? It needs to be at the same angle as the curve that it's on. Does that make more sense? I think visually it's still, even if you did an exact thing with your lines, it's still visually, to me, it doesn't look like any change is happening, except maybe the last one. Graphics Legion, I will get to your stuff. This is technically recorded. I'm actually trying to find where your stuff is. I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Vinny is next. Look, I'll get to it here, but I usually just go in order, okay? And I'm not done with Mango. So, Double A. It is currently recorded. It's a live stream. It doesn't get edited down. It's just a big, long chunk. The Double A here. Kind of reminds me of something that would be on like a what's it called? Like a towing company or a semi truck. Here's my gripe. All right, so this right here between the top wing and the A is super tight, but as soon as I leave further down and slide down the A, the gap gets larger and larger, as well as the gap that is right here. The thing with visual storytelling is that we are going to notice things that are in high tension first than we are that are super far apart and far away, for the most part. So with the tension being so high right here, it does not convey that same tension everywhere else. So recommendation, suggestion, to make it better, move the A's closer together and tighten up these wings, because this wing has like a different design function. I would almost get rid of the top ones and only just keep the three, working threes, and just go with those because they are more visually aligned than this top one. And I understand, wings have like that bone, right, that holds the wings together. But this tension is just not working for me for the white space. It's not. And we got some concepts. I recognize this one. What's the one thing that you want me to comment on before I move on? On Logo Folio? What's up? I noticed that. So I definitely would recommend that you get more into color. Because here's the thing. Portfolios are supposed to exist so that you can have a chance to describe your thought process. these are just marks that don't really have like a thought process attached to them. They're just kind of, here's what I did. You're not even asking the viewer what they think. You're not telling the viewer what you thought of when you made this, other than the background image. In terms of the execution, this looks fine. It's a little bit on the generic end. I think the only thing in terms of the flask's like shape, it's generic, but it's a flask. When you get down here, it's well executed, consistent with the tension, if you will. I don't really know what's going on here with this really sharp part in this negative space. I would honestly just nip that so that it's just a flat edge rather than a sharp edge. Just grab that anchor point and put it right there. In terms of the color blue, it looks great. I think it just helps better from a visual standpoint if it were just cut off rather than like this really up to sharp thing where nothing else in this object is sharp. Top part of the logo, like the way that you did the water or the liquid in here, great, but is it for a logo? No, right? Because if you turn this into black and white, you're just gonna have two little humps right here with no difference in that, right? If you presented this in a way that explained your thought process and had multiple different versions of the logo, then we may be able to kind of have a better discussion. But because it's colored, look, that's the benefit of being black and white, right? You don't have to worry about color. The fact that this is the only one that has color shows me that you're not extremely comfortable with working with color, and the fact that you use gradients is also showing me that you're not too comfortable either. As like a all-around part of a logo, great, use gradient, but the official version of a logo should always be black and white with an alternative color option that's flat. These kind of shades here will not translate into what you want them to. So it's kind of my thing. Experiment with color more. Next, we have Bethany, who I think was in here earlier. Oh, there we go. Awesome. Yeah. Bethany has been part of a lot of our paid client challenges down here in the Great Save. This was something that my aunt actually paid her to do. So, she's super happy with that. I think I have not seen her with the printed out version yet, but if I do, I'll be sure to take a picture and show it to you in the server. Is there a particular area that you'd like me to look more specifically? Which other ones are the weakest design-wise? Okay. So I don't remember if I had commented on this specifically. So glass cup recreation. See you, Mango. Appreciate you stopping by. I'll get you your nibs after the stream is over. Oh, by the way, those that participate here do get some nibs for attending that you can use in the store. So anyway, a school project where I recreated a glass from a photo I took using only black and white to observe the interaction and see how an object forms. Include my drafts to show the process as well as the final product with refinements made. Why is this not in all of your projects? Like a description of what your thought process was, who it was for. Is this a flower boutique, or is this a salon for your nails, or like a jewelry store, right? Give me some more visual understanding with your words. I created this for this business on this date, completed it in this amount of time. This is what they wanted, and this is how I elevated what they wanted. It's important to do that, because when a client is coming through, this is for all of you. If a client comes through your portfolio and they don't understand how, that's part of a client's understanding, right? They can tell you what they want, but if they don't understand how you work and they only see your final results, they're not going to be sure if you're a good communicator, a good one to convey ideas, if you're even willing to challenge their ideas to make it better. All of this is super important to do. That's what my main critique would be for you, Bethany, is to go through this and tell me why, if I were to hire you, I should care about this particular design. What did you do that what was a challenge that you were proposed with, and how did you overcome it with 120% effort? Or 120% workaround to make it even better, or so on and so forth, whatever it may be. This is a really good example, right? You put this on a mock-up for t-shirts, but there was never the brief for this was never posted here. Clients that want to understand, is this a personal project or is this something that was made for a client? It was posed by a client here in Designly as part of like a contest. You were chosen out of everybody else to be someone that they work with, and they paid you for it. That's a story in itself, and clients need to know what that is. Yeah, I mean, I posed it as a client. It was just really my aunt, but the thing with online business is that you want to fake it until you make it. You want to use inflated language to get the sale. Because we're not face to face, Bethany. It's going to take a lot more to convince me to work with you. You need to use inflated language. You need to stretch the truth just a little bit. My dog is freaking out. You need to stretch the truth just a little bit. Okay? This was for Designly, an event here that a client came to us and wanted work done. You entered it. You got chosen. You can flip that as out of all the entrants posted, mine was chosen to be the one that they wanted to work with. This is what they wanted. I overachieved and added XYZ thing, which overachieved their expectations. ChatGPT is really good for this. It's one of the fantastic AI things that I enjoy using, actually, is the ChatGPT for cover letters and responses in a professional manner. Because it takes time to write those things out, right? Huge swaths of paragraphs. So, oh, the cat's here. Hi, dude. Or not. But I want you to dive into Behance, just in the overall area of Behance. It's going to show you a bunch of other people's work, right? I implore you to take a look at that and see how they've presented their projects. And I want you to try to emulate that similar type of attitude. Bold says that my dependence on AI is my greatest weakness. Well, I think you'd be a fool to not use AI to some degree with your design process, with your business. Amazon, Canva, Adobe, Facebook, third parties are all using AI to some degree to help elevate their customer base. And if I do not know how to use AI and that's what's in demand, I am missing out on clients. I am missing out on opportunities. You guys want to see Alf? If you're on the stream. Yeah. Oh boy. There he is. Quick, open up the Designly the Designly YouTube channel and see my cat. Hi. Really? Yeah. Ted, you joined at the right time. If you go onto the YouTube channel and see me live, I have my cat. Yeah. You silly. I know Canva's gross, but it's still good for you to know for like last minute things. Do not gatekeep ways in which people like to work. Don't do that. If they're finding success in a way that you are not, and they use a different program from you, and you say, well, Canva is not too good, you're shooting yourself in the foot, man. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry. That's just... Yeah. Anyway. Moving on to Vinny, who was telling me to check his stuff out before. Vinny's newer to the server. New-ish. Wanted me to check these things out. We have some videos of spinning 3D objects. Another spinning 3D object. 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 Really hard to see spinning 3D object. Another spinning 3D object. Another spin... So, want to ask you why. um, how come you have not branched into more and different types of 3D design or animation? What is the holdup there? Because clearly you know how to keyframe. So I'm confused. This doesn't tell me anything about you as a designer, what your thought process is behind why you created this. I don't know what this is. Looks like a globe with a splotch of paint on it. This looks like a 3D version of like a logo of some kind with no details. If it's text, I can't read it. Maybe like a TX. I don't know. A scribble. I don't understand what this is for. There's no explanation offered. Oops. I exited out on accident. Damn it. The description for Legion is, I'm Legion, a 3D animator and designer, plus graphic designer. I specialize in creating 3D spinning logos in the software Blender. I enjoy what I do, and I think that is what makes my work better. Better than what? What is the alternative? Like other people that make spinning 3D logos? Like you are the best out of everybody else that does 3D spinning logos? I just feel like that's like not a very high bar for you. Yes, Bold. Did you have thoughts, Bold?
Thoughts on this? Actually, I think it's quite repetitive.
It's the exact same animation loop for everything.
Yeah, the exact same background as well.
They're all gray.
Yeah. What I actually wanted to say is that for my thumbnails, right, if I could like put some of my thought process for some of my thumbnails, and I can also have sliders to show like before I add effects and after I add effects, and then another slider to show before I use color correction and after I use color correction. Would that be useful to be added onto a project?
Only if you decide to double down on your presentation. You said if you don't do anything with your presentations, then and that's not going to be useful to you. Gabriel wants to speak.
Yeah, one thing I would say when it comes to 3D is that, I mean, what's the point of doing really, really simple things like rotating those logos? I mean, it looks cool, but why shouldn't one branch into VFX or gaming industry? I mean, if you are working on 3D stuff.
Yeah, like they're not going to hire you specifically to just spin a logo, right? Like they're probably going to want to hire you to do more things than that. I don't know. Like this is like, it seems more of like kind of like a fun hobby than it is something that you're taking seriously. And the reason why I don't feel like Legion is being very serious is because everything is the exact same. There's no experimentation. There's no diversity of any kind. There's no like experiment to challenge yourself. There's no nothing. It's all the exact same thing, right? And that's what worries me. So that's the biggest critique of all, Legion, is you say that you're a graphic designer and you specialize in 3D. Like, that doesn't show here. Yes, you have 35 views and 4 likes. Whoop-de-doo. But I do not think that this is evidence of someone that is taking their own craft seriously, right? How many are here?
think,
1, 2,
sorry
3,
for
4,
interrupting.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 things here, and they all have the exact same animation, styling, everything. I would have expected by the 9th entry that you would have experimented and tried something different, right? But that has not
he
happened.
needs to
Or the 10th.
specialize.
Or the 10th.
What was that, Gabriel?
You need to decide whether you want to be graphic designer or work in 3D industry. I mean, you can combine, but in that case, it needs to show. But I would say that it's much better to specialize in one of them because I mean, it takes a lot of time to actually learn this stuff. It depends on your specialization. For example, you can, I don't know, I mean, it depends what you choose. You can be a level designer or environment artist if you are into gaming stuff. You can be a 3D modeler or whatever, but it still needs huge amounts of time. So I guess it's better to actually specialize and to decide early on what you want to do.
Yeah, no, I agree entirely. Right, for all we know, this could be the start of Legion's career. Right, they're just playing around, trying to see what works, what they can do. They did a Scribble version versus like a hard, like Catholic cross thing. Right, maybe to them this is something that is different enough, but as Gabriel said, if you want to call yourself a 3D artist and a graphic designer, I need evidence of that. I see no graphic design happening here. I see 3D elements spinning in a blank space. So, I think Legion, if you're rewatching this, I need you to invest into identifying what part of the 3D industry most interests you, and investing time into tutorials and experimenting in those areas and posting them on Behance, saying, hey, this is what I did, this is what I was trying to achieve, and this is why I think I achieved it, right? Use it as a evidence log of you growing as an artist. So, just kind of my thoughts there. I appreciate you guys coming up here. I'm going to move you guys back to the audience until you guys want to talk again. Thank you. Next, we have Dan, who's been patiently waiting here. Dan, first of all, loving... Oops, what the heck? I did not click on this. Oh, you wanted me to look at this. Is that right? Bringing your ideas to life, one pixel at a time. Hi, I am Daniel, known as Dan Online. I'm a skilled designer who is ready to help you make your brand stand out. This is not centered. Move this over to the left so it's aligned with everything else. Thank you. Donate, Instagram. Okay, let's go to the Behance. What is this from thing? Oh, you can hire. Okay. So why are you charging $5 for a header like this? What? Why is everything $5? Why are these $5? Profile pictures are also $5. Bro. That's way too cheap. Way too cheap. Way too cheap. Was there a particular area you wanted me to critique the most? Yeah, $10 is still dirt cheap. What the hell are you doing? I'll bring you on once I start doing the actual critiquing, Bold. Banner, folio, poster, headers, and advertisement. Banner, folio. Ooh, these are new. Okay. This looks good. Connor Sullivan. Be subscribed. Subscribe. Be subscribed. I don't know what that means. I would get rid of that entirely. It's not needed. I mean, that looks good. Biggest gripe is this text right here. It's not needed. I think you could afford Connor Sullivan to also be moved further to the left as well. I think I wish there was a way for me to zoom in more, to be honest. Here. Let me use the snip tool. And then see if I can zoom in. Damn it. Never mind. Need a sneeze. Excuse me. Okay. I think you could have made him stand out a little bit more. He's wearing very dark clothing here. Maybe some like white glow behind them. So maybe different colors. Maybe a lighter blue mixed with a bright white glow of some kind painted behind would help elevate his presence here. Make it a little bit more of like, this is my channel type of look. That's kind of what I do with my thumbnails on YouTube, is adding some additional separation of the background to person of interest. Super Wraith Bro, my comments remain the same as before. Low quality images. And I think that this particular design was not intrinsic to your country of origin as requested in the brief, other than the colors. Even though I like the concept in itself, for the brief that was being asked of you, it was not fully executed. Oh, there we go. So it bugs me. Like, yes, look, I am zoomed in right now, right? I am quite zoomed in, but look how crisp this text is. It's very crisp. But then look to the guy next to it. Not so crisp. He's got like hair on his shoulders. That's weird. What I would recommend is actually using an AI upscaler if a client gives you a low quality asset. Throwing this into an AI upscaler because it's a design is actually going to upscale quite well, because it's not like a skin texture or anything. It's just very, it's cartoony. The AI upscaler will help out with this a lot. You would have to probably adjust a few areas just in case. But I've never understood why this is important, right? Having like this is on a YouTube banner, so it's standard to have like socials, right? Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. Image trace would also work really, really well for this too, because there isn't too many like gradients. I think the design is... Oh, what is that? What the hell? What is this object here? Are these cogs? What is that? No, delete that. That's ugly.
Alright, Gates, a little thing I wanted to say. It's like he's not using, for the first one, right? He's not using the banner template, because when you're on the phone, you will not see the socials at all, because it's very far away. And mobile phones, you see things in the middle, but it's way too far away, so you won't see it on a device.
Yeah, it's important to look at the templates. I say the same thing in regards to Discord banners as well, because on PC the banner is a lot smaller than on mobile, and the banners are also different, the overlays on that. But yeah, using an AI upscaler or even using Illustrator for parts of this as well would go a long way for making sure everything is as high fidelity as possible. And also, I don't know what the hell this thing is. Like, I don't know what these like weird sharp shapes are. It looks like a cog. Delete that. It's ugly and I hate it.
Dan,
not needed.
Remini is an AI upscaler.
Yeah,
it's very.
I have it on my PC. It's gonna look like you're going to a spam website, but promise you, you're not.
I have it on my phone, and it works pretty well. It turns a very blurry image into a high quality image. Like, I'm talking about so high. The only thing that you would see on that is most likely just melody, but you wouldn't see the socials on a mobile device. That's why when I do my banners, I try to like put the character in the center and put the text over to the side only a little bit so I can see, because when I use the banner template, I actually set up some rulers so I can know exactly where I can put my, and make sure they are centered and aligned as well. By the way, Gates, I actually posted my Behance, even though I haven't worked on it for a while because I was doing exams.
Okay. I have a bunch of people that I need to add, so just give me a second. Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna step down. I have to do something.
Okay. I'm actually gonna reshare stream as well, because it was giving me a yellow error. Yeah, I don't like that. Delete whatever the fuck that is. Sorry, that's ugly. Not needed in the design. Just visual noise that is not needed. This is boring. the text is, I don't like it. It's too bouncy, and then we have text that's right next to it that is so much better. I've also never understood why, like, putting the YouTube icon in the banner of a YouTube banner and then putting subscribe next to it is like a thing. I don't personally like it. I think that there's more. It gets rid of where you could have more room to actually give someone a reason to subscribe. You know. I think the color grading on this is good though. It's a call to action. I understand call to actions with YouTube videos. I don't know. If it works, it works. This looks quite good. Oh, we're using assets in the exact same way. Uh-oh. These little arrows here. I can see them right here too. In the exact same spot. Okay. Whatever. Big, visual, quite large. Good. Only thing I would do is that because you added so much yellow grading on top of this text on this side, add some additional lightness behind it as well so that it remains popped out from the background, because everything is very orange and yellow. That is quite good. Ooh, ouch. That's a bad miss. So we have another electric line going through the middle. This gradient is way too sharp. That needs to be blended more. That is not attractive. Visually stunning. Lots of stuff going on. Again, make this stand out as the primary focus. Because right now, honestly, this text looks like it's behind this character. So. The cat is being cute. This is fun. Sebi, 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 Sebi. King Sebi, King Sebi. There's those lines there again and the pluses. The next banner you make, I want you to use completely different assets than what you've ever made for other banners. Please. 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 I think the structure and idea behind this, with the lines caving in, with this canyon being where the text is, it looks a little bit tight. Probably move this up so it's a little bit more centered, but that's about it. Same exact concept. This would make sense if they were on a team. If these are two different content creators and you did the exact same design, but just changed the character and the name and the color, I would have a problem with it. This is way too far away from its own outline, so I would probably move those closer together and create a little bit more of a separation. People are always advertising, bro. Bro's name is just Agent. How about you get banned? See you. How about you get that ass banned? How about that? I have a zero tolerance for people like that, by the way. Now, you might see that shit happen in other design servers. As soon as I see it, they get banned instantly. I don't care. I have a zero tolerance for that. Okay, so you wanted me to look at that banner folio and what else? Shit. Logo folio. I've commented on these before. These are profile pictures, not logos. Change the name of this to profile picture. Character profile pictures, not logos. These are not logos. Header folio. Headers. I feel like I've reviewed this one before. I swear I've looked at this before. This one was fun. This one was good. Again, a similar issue. Unfortunately, they animated this particular scene bad. So I think I would recommend using a different model. Yes, I reviewed yours already. You're going to need to go to the YouTube channel and rewind it a bit. I'll bring you in a second, Bold. Again, there's a habit with you, man, with putting text behind characters or other objects. Yes, he was. Speaking of which, I need to put Frostify's Chord as a suggested server. Right now I only have one. Professional Fortnite player. It's just really hard to read the name here. I think it's over-designed. A lot simpler. Looks good. Good theming. I've commented on this before. I've commented on this before as well. And this one. This is not as HD as it could be. It seems very stark in comparison to this. And then I remember you asking specifically about this one in particular. You're now Dan Designs instead of Blade. So, Dr. Dan. Again, you guys, even though this Behance looks great, how many of these actually describe what Dan's thought process is? Cool, I'm American, but I have no idea what the hell this means. You told me in the server that this is for a holiday. But people that are onlooking, they don't understand the significance of this. Why did you design this? Why did you make it for the way that you did? Why is the goat here important? Right? I know it's a Muslim event, but why aren't you saying that it's a Muslim event here where people come to hire you? I know Muslims will understand, but are Muslims his target audience? No, it's anybody that wants to elevate their business online. Is that correct? Yeah, there you go. So I need an explanation in a really well thought out way about why you designed this the way you did, because it's beautiful. I love it. It's well designed. I don't know why you designed it, though, if I was just a stranger to you. To me, this could be like an album cover. It could be an album cover for all I know. And advertisements. I mean, the limes here have like a really jagged edge for some reason. I don't know what that's about. Revolutionize your Trovo. I think, why is the text in why is it italicized? The text here should not be italicized. Again, it all comes down to presentation, you know? Because when it comes to mock-ups, I want to see what the design looks like when it's not on the mock-up. Mock-ups are used to elevate your current design, not be the focal point of the design. Right? I understand that this is an advertisement. What do businesses want out of advertisements, Dan? What do businesses want advertisements to do for them? They want sales. They want performance. They want effectiveness. They want to know why this advertisement would work if their product is similar to this one. There is no explanation as to why you design things the way that you did to attract a good click-through rate, to attract buyers, to do XYZ thing. If you're not willing to go, I'm postulating a little bit, if you're not willing to go into understanding what key performance indicators are for a business to make an effective advertisement for them, then I do not want you to make advertisements like this, because you're only taking, like, your half of your foot is in the water, but you need to put your entire foot in the water so that you're able to actually help them understand what their objectives are. Are they looking for just more exposure? Are they wanting sales? Are they wanting a click-through rate? Are they wanting signups? Are they wanting XY, whatever it may be? Okay? That's what I want you to think about moving forward. Because now you're entering marketing. You're entering the marketing realm, which is my domain. Okay? So, I want to see more like this. I just want an explanation as to why, like if you and I were working in a digital agency together, and I told you that I'm working with a client that needs the glitch Leon Lime flavor that they want to post between the months of July 1st today to July 31st. I think you can make really good advertisements. I'm telling you what it's going to take for you to continue to do that. Because it's not only about what looks good, it's about what is effective. maybe that's a new challenge that I'll do for Designly in the month of July, is making an advertisement and paying attention to what trends are happening right now, in what industry, in what way, with target audience, and even some competitor names that you can look up and do research on, so that you can make as effective campaign as possible. That's a super serious one, right? This next month is going to be, it's going to have more fun and games, I think. But I think that particular challenge would be fun because marketing is my domain. I get a lot of kicks out of creating effective marketing things. So anyway, I need to move on to the next person. But other than like the crusty looking lime, I think that everything there looks pretty solid. But at the same time, I want you to describe what part of this advertisement is going to be effective for what. Is it going to be good for attracting new customers, or are you going to be looking to get people to buy? Right? So, all right, I got a lot of people to go through. So I'm going to... Did everything from the mood boarding, storytelling, layout, music, sound effects, content, and for the motion graphics, the whole thing was made. A couple screenshots of a website. Please review the Sakim project too. Okay. There's not really a personality with this. Everything's very robotic. Right? It has a blur added to it, which I don't recommend doing. Gosh dang it. See that blur? More blur. So that right there, right? The way that you could add more personality, for example, to Alstair, the shopping cart, right? It's speeding up. It's going fast because it's got a blur to it, right? It then halts and gets caught, right? But it just moves like this. You can't see my hand. I'm a very handsy person when I talk. It's very static. Okay, you can see my hand. So it stops and then just goes like that, right? Just goes like that. What you actually want is for it to go like... It stops. It lifts up. The anticipation builds. It's at its peak, and then it slams back down. It's a lot better than just that. Anticipation has speed up, and then starts to slow down, reaches its peak, and then slowly and then quickly, eventually, halfway through, comes back down faster. This has more to do with the way in which that you're easing your keyframes than it does on the points of your timeline. If you ease your frames, go into actually, you know what? If you go to the YouTube channel, I actually go over Adobe After Effects basics. That includes how to use those anchors properly and to get XYZ effect. You would greatly benefit from watching that, because it's a trend that you show throughout this entire video, where everything's really fast or everything is very kind of monotonous, slow, thing. Just like everything is super, super fast. That was good. Right? I think it's still a little bit static, but it's better than the other tech stuff. Hey, Eagle. We are currently reviewing this video that Altair animated, going over the easy ease options within After Effects, keyframing, hold frames. So you even do it a little bit here. Like you understand that from some level, anticipation, right? Because otherwise you wouldn't have made this so large and then have it shrink down, right? But easy easing is what's going to allow this to have more personality. Adjusting those anchors to make it have anticipation or have it build up, right? That as well, right? This has like a kind of like a bounce effect, right? Easy easing is what's going to make that more organic. The structure and the format of this also just doesn't make sense to me. Why is he in front of something that's here? Everything gets out of the way. Everything is just kind of just getting, everything's like throwing up onto the page. And then it ends. Something that I will praise you for is actually using the user interface of the webpage. That's exactly what you should be doing, is familiarizing people who, if they go to the website, will start to recognize the elements that you used here, which makes the user experience on said website or app to be more cohesive. Right, so good job on that. But in terms of animation and just structure, I think that's where you can use the most work. And I think the first thing you should focus on is knowing how to give personality to a ball bouncing in After Effects. I think that's probably your first step to truly understanding how that will fit into how everything else is going to work here. And you also said that you wanted me to look at the Scheme project too. I don't know where that is. Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah, I gave my thoughts on this before within the server. Oh, you're actually describing it. You're describing it. Ah! Good. Okay. Very, very good. The presentation itself could use some work, but at least you're describing everything that you put here to make it happen. Brush stroke, roughness adventure, image mask, aesthetic appeal, image strokes of the mountains, right? Let your soul breathe. Oh, you added an additional. It's a glacier-fed river that is the lifeline of Sikkim. The Sikkim's people have stories to tell from the adventures in this river past. So Sikkim is a group of people. Oh, I love this. It's like a. So this turned from just like, I think you took my advice to heart. Like, this is a location, but what should I care about this location? Because I have a really nice picture and image, but what do I do here, right? That's what I challenged you with before, and I think that you did really well to describe that this is a location that has a culture and a people, that has a rich history. You're telling me why I should care about visiting, and that's really important when describing your projects. And it keeps going. I love this. And it's all in brand as well. It's kind of like this kind of blotched art area. Sure, the strokes themselves around the edges are not as high quality as they could be. That's probably just like a free brush that you used. That's the unfortunate reality of brushes. But I think its overall appeal and idea here is good. The Wise Old Hills. Yeah, I mean, this could use a little bit more work with the way that you showed this, because this has a lot of room if you're going to maintain this particular size of particular mask, I would move this down a little bit more so that it evens out more. Good. Show it all together. Show it all together. Show in social media post. Peace and tranquility. No, this is great, right? The way that you've shown this off is fantastic. This is something that I've been wanting to see within projects. This particular, this being the first image I see, probably not so much. I probably would have rather you go straight into describing what Sakim is. I'm probably saying it wrong, but going into what it is, what this project is, you made me happy. But yeah, no, that's wonderful. Great work. One minor gripe that I have is that it has like a very kind of oil paint filter applied to these, and that's fine, but it's also not applied to here. So I would keep things nice and consistent with that. But other than that, I think it's fine. Oh. Okay. Yes, you described kind of what was going on here. The way in which you do so, probably not as good as it could be, because it's just screenshots taken from your own video and then added on graphics. Grab these assets and make an entire custom experience with these to really describe what you're trying to convey. So, good stuff. Let's grab. We still got some more people to review. Next we have Bold, Saif as well, which I'm glad that you're sharing your work here. These are all by the same person. Definitely encourage you to get a Behance, Saif. Bold. Okay. Now you've been waiting for this. Is there a particular area you want me to review by chance? We're going on 2 hours, so I want to keep things, I want to kind of speed things up a little bit more and keep it nice and focused. Okay, well, first of all, collection of banners and headers made by me. All our bases around the game called Fortnite. Enjoy. I would get rid of the enjoy part here. I'm really glad that you listened to my advice and actually like use this template for your banners, because it helps really convey what they're used for. Thumbnails. Ooh. Okay. Cool. A collection. Why did these work though? You don't tell me. Please enjoy. Get rid of these emotes. We're professionals here, please. Collection of thumbnails made. A collection of thumbnails made to entice an audience and get the highest CTR possible. People that are looking to hire a thumbnail artist is not only looking to have good graphics, but somebody that has an understanding of why CTR is important, why what that content creator is doing on other platforms, and how that relates to YouTube. What trends did you follow in order to make this insane Aces thing? Oops. Because look, they're good. Okay. Keep things. They keep me visually engaged. Used some 3D models for these. I don't know if you posed these yourself or you have a resource that allowed you to find them. I find it interesting that they're always in a reloading position or a inspect thing, because I know you can inspect your weapons in that. Why? That would be a good explanation, right? Group these together that are all inspecting the weapon and tell me in this presentation why all of the guns are being inspected in this way. Is it a trend within the industry of this particular game genre on YouTube because everybody else does it, or because you decided to try something different for the channel, which ended up resulting in a 20% CTR in the first hour of it uploading? All of that is important to know. Bold, is this for an actual YouTube channel? You able to hear me? Bold, you still here? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Oh, he's on the YouTube. Okay. That's weird. Yeah, Discord's being funky. I'm almost wondering if it's because we're doing a lot at once. But anyway, that's what I want from you, right? Because these look great, but how do they perform? If something looks great but didn't perform, then why should they hire you? That's what I want to know. Yeah. Then you need to mention that this is not for an existing YouTube channel. Because unfortunately, when it comes to people hiring people to do thumbnails, they want prior experience with YouTubers. And honestly, I know within the server, people doing things for free is not allowed, or at least to be advertised so. But that's how I got good and hired to be like a main thumbnail artist for content creators, is initially doing things for free. Because what that experience tells you is that you are a good communicator, you're willing to do revisions as needed, you're able to communicate.
Gates, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was on YouTube and I wasn't able to watch the stream live. So the reason why I have them in an inspect position is because when they aren't in an inspect position, they look too generic, and I see a lot in other thumbnails that I've come across on YouTube. So I use a inspect one. Use the renders in an inspect position.
Then I need you to describe that in this collection somewhere.
And no. Yeah, and also I'm going to create a next collection because I've been doing thumbnails as client work now because I'm getting client work All
Good.
those thumbnails that you see on that project are practice. Like I practice them. Those are practice projects.
Okay. Then you need to have this collection remain as is. And when you create a new collection that shows off actualized work, I need you to have a dedicated space of, let's say, this one YouTuber uploaded twice in one day, have those next to each other, and on the other area, the other like boxed area of the presentation, describe why you designed them the way that you did. And the result of said thumbnails. You're going to need to communicate.
That's if I know how to do that. And also, I don't know, but for some reason I can't upload a cover. I can't upload a custom cover. I can only upload a cover that's within the project for some reason.
Okay. I will need you to look at
And I'm not
Behance best practices then, so that you can ensure that you don't remain to be only working with one person. You want multiple clients in this, right? So you need to, when working with actualized work, to be able to describe the performance of said YouTube thumbnail. If you were not describing the performance of said YouTube thumbnail, that's a conversation that you do not want to have in DMs upon negotiating if they want to hire you or not. They need to already know that the thumbnails that you make are performant. Now, this is going to require you to communicate with your content creator. Like, hey, could you tell me the CTR of this video after 1 hour and after 24 hours so that I can log the performance and understand where I can elevate these thumbnails?
That's true. Like
That's important.
he created a new channel. Like the thumbnail that I'm creating for this client, he didn't use his 500k subs channel. He created a new channel and uploaded 2 videos in which I created the 2 thumbnails for them, a Diablo 4 and a Valorant one.
Great. Did he communicate? She, he, whatever. Did they communicate the performance of said thumbnail?
I didn't ask him, and he didn't tell me either. But I
need to
can't
ask
ask him. But he's not really that online on Twitter.
How do you do business with him?
It takes a few days for him to respond back to me.
Okay. Well, you're still gonna have to ask. You still need to ask.
Yeah.
It's in his best interest that you understand the CTR of the thumbnails you create so that you can make them better. Because if they're not turning out with a good CTR, then that needs to be something that you adjust. Because what you're doing right now might not be working. The way it might have high views, but if the CTR is 5%, then that's not good. I think a good expected baseline is like 10 to 15% after 24 hours, I think.
The videos are on YouTube for about 6 days now.
I think you can still go back in time if he goes into his account and look at the performance over time. You'll be able to see how things either continue to scale or dip. Did it dip after 6 hours? Did it dip after 48 hours? All right. All of that information is important for you to know as an artist that makes these thumbnails. So, moving on to the next. Appreciate you, Bold.
Yeah.
We have Saif. Fortunately, the image here is not too high quality, but there's a lot going on. There is a lot of compositing happening here that's telling a story. Everything has its place. The foot here looks a little weird. I'd honestly probably just use the puppet tool to realign his leg a bit. But, because it's not HD, I can't like see the nitty gritty details of where you may have messed up. But I mean, this looks fairly good. Think you were the sweetest thing. Quotes from the game. The coach, presumably the coach, popping off. Another fantastic. The margins here are a little bit tight. You see how Maestro right here? The end of this, if I were to create margins from this, it would cut into the text here. So, and also just like if you were to print this out, by the way, printers are not perfect. It's very likely that these edges would get cut out on accident and then make that illegible. So you should already be working with a particular margin, and the one that you've set right here is good. You just need to follow it. The text here needs to be aligned, right? It needs to be aligned. Just imagine an imaginary line or ruler going all the way up from here, and align the text with that. I might mean making the text a little bit smaller or adjusting the kerning. But if you were to print this out, I can guarantee you it's going to, yeah, keep the important info in by an eighth of an inch. That is like, that's touching it, bro. Work with the established margins that you've created, right? Visually demonstrating, hey, look, I put this line here, and everything that is above it needs to be within this invisible box. Right? Move that text in. I can guarantee you it's going to look a lot cleaner if you implement it in the way that I'm describing. Same exact issue. Same exact issue. Composition's great. Got a nice texture going on here. But you need to follow your own rules that you've established for the piece. That's what design is. Design is all about rules, but also ones that we set for ourselves. And if you don't follow your own rules, then that facilitates bad design. I had this trouble in my head while designing, but I couldn't make it smaller. It would not be so clear. So I just tried to make it like paper. I think normal one was better. See, even the edges that you cut out there are like cutting into the area where the text is. That's a problem. You need to come up with a solution for that. It's too scrunched. He's like locked and frozen in place because of the text, like boxing him in. It's a very it's movement-based player, yet this text is holding it in place like he has chains attached to him. Give the text the margins. This is the rule that you set for yourself. All right? You set the rule that this margin here is what you're going to follow. And then you break it just above it. So, that's my I'm just following the rules that you set for yourself, man. I also I don't want you to argue your I don't want you to argue in favor of your weaknesses here. Why are you arguing in favor of your weaknesses? I see them. I already made a comment that those little like triangle cut-ins are cutting into where the text is. That's not good. It's a good mock-up. Once again, you're still, even in that mock-up, you're not following your own rule of margins that you've set. This looks very strange. Is this like a Doctor Strange? Yes, it is. Okay. That's fun. The shape, I think this, if like the circle things were orange instead of yellow, they would be easier to see. It's a lower quality image with like these flames and like a floating candle. Seems like a fun project. I would not show this to an intrigued client though, unless I wanted to show them the fun side of me. So then we have this. Looks fantastic. Love this. Again, it's really, really low resolution for me to like critique if you used pen tool and cut out these characters well enough, but good framing, good positions of the flag or the icon of the team, good poses chosen. They are bleeding into each other's banners, which I think is unique. Makes it more animated, makes it more visually interesting in my opinion. So fantastic job with that. And I'm glad that you... Oh. No, now there's... I was going to say, you know, it looks good that there's only one ball in this composition. Right? If they're all designed to be sitting together. But there's another ball right here. So, oh well. Looks good. Good texture. These two guys look like he's touching his butt right here for some reason, but that's it's just a nitpick. I think the way that in which that you're using all these like sports related poses, I think you could greatly benefit from using the puppet tool in Photoshop to move their limbs around in a way that's more dynamic, or, you know, for example, like this, using his arm instead of making it look like he's reaching for his butt, putting an anchor point in his shoulder, hand, elbow, and moving his arm more angled, more dynamic, right? Next we have Gabriel, who requested of me to I don't know where this is. I don't know where Eagle put his project, but Gabriel let's see. Where'd this go? That's fine, I guess. Pops in just fine. It's not as animated as I would have liked because there's a lot of movement with these shapes here. Black is a little bit harder to see with this kind of gray and red gradient, but with this picture in particular, looks fine. Feel the ride is also lower than I would prefer, and that might just because of the UI in regards to the video player cutting into it. But Cruiser's brand identity, Cruiser's conceptual motorcycle, year 2023, Gabriel, logo design. Dynamic word mark combines a custom typeface with a stylized rectangles inspired by fonts such as this word speed. Good. Red and black. Yeah. Racing colors. Good. Typography choice. Sugoi and Satoshi. Great. I think that's a great choice, to be honest. Wait, what the hell? .3D packaging. That looks wonderful. And we have the video again. Okay. So I noticed something right off the bat. Something's fucky. Shit. Here. So yeah, of course, safe. So was this C hand drawn? Because it looks wonky. It looks a little wonky. It looks a little wonky. Like this is sharper, not as round as it should be, as it eases into this flat area. Looks like there's an anchor point right here and right here, and it just, there might be two here because I think there's like a slight little correction. And then back here, it seems way too tight. I almost expect it to... You need... A plane would not be able to land on this on-ramp, okay? Like, it curves way too sharply. I almost expect it to curve out a little bit more like that and then start coming in. Other than the C, I think there's just... I think the anchor points got fucked somehow. I don't know what's going on there. Let's see. The curve here doesn't match the curve on the inside. Anyway, definitely fix that. Probably would mean restarting your entire project for this one thing. But now I can't unsee it. It bugs me a lot, Gabriel. Business cards look good. That looks wonderful. Your favorite store. Ugh. Hate that. Alertness, awareness, energy, willpower. First coffee, then the world. Yep. Yep. This looks great too. Yeah, this looks great. Starting from 2,500. CTA right there. Top 10. Good. Intrigue. Look at the blog. Yeah, great work. It's just that one aspect of the logo that really bugs me a lot. Kind of wish you came to me before you did all this work, to be honest. It's kind of a shame. On the upside, though, this is exactly how you're supposed to present your project. This is exactly how you should be doing it, everyone. And then we have Bowtie. Mafia. And you wanted me to look specifically at ideal disc. Okay, we got a tooth. Insult series, distance driver, 13 speed, overstable X plastic. Feels good, easy throw, durable. Okay. Thank you, Creative Cloud. I need to upload my stuff to Behance, to be honest. So I'm realizing it's not a tooth. It is a... you're trying to convey a disc being thrown. In this particular one, it looks like a trophy of some kind. Oh. Okay. Low quality graphics. Okay. Low quality once again. Okay. So this does not convey movement like you think it does. I think you used low quality assets. That's what I think. I don't think Behance compressed this so bad to where you can see the pixels. The only reason why Behance would make this look not so great is if these were really small and there's a feature of Behance where it makes things larger. We got like a Harry Potter looking thing going on here. I don't know. Where to really start, because it really just kind of it comes down to the idea that you're trying to convey, right? I think the foundation that you're trying to establish here is just not stable enough to execute on everything else that you're trying to do here. Foundation wise, right? Disc throw logo. So what? So, if you want to convey movement and anticipation and action, thank you for coming by, Bethany. Like this logo in particular, right? It's closer to what you've designed, right? We have a larger endpoint and a thinner endpoint, but its concept is that it's moving towards me. Same with right here. It has a direction. It has a more impact, right? There's more details that describe what is happening here. Even this one, we traditionally know this as the movement. This as well also displays movement. It's wobbling in the air. It's currently in the air. It might make a right hook turn. This as well. We have movement, right? Even this one right here, right? It still follows the same concept that you did, but yours has, like a Frisbee doesn't move, like float upwards, right? It goes to the side, it goes inward, goes towards you, comes at you. Frisbees don't go up. It gets thrown at an angle, which is what is being described here. This is an existing company? What do you mean this isn't yours? Is this supposed to be an eye and double as a like a disc? Discus? I'm so confused. So it used to be just called Ideal Disc, and then you removed the eye and then put this in. So that's why the foundation is bad. It isn't originally entirely your concept. You just replaced an element with this, and that was it. I mean, that's not the. It's not a good way to go about designing. But you see how that's the concept of that is that it is thrown sideways and shows movement in that way. This is just like floating upwards. I don't really. Do you see what I mean? Like it doesn't. It's not. If you want to advertise your Instagram, just go to the Creative Corner and post it there. Yeah, the foundation here is not there, man. Starting from scratch, using these as inspiration to understand what a good version of displaying movement, action, and anticipation is what you're going to need to do. Thank you, Gabriel. This also has a ton of movement. No, do not reinvent the wheel. Design has very specific established concepts that we can then add to but never take away from, right? Even this one doesn't have like movement lines, but the caricature here implies that it was thrown. This implies it was caught. This implies it's about to be thrown. It implies it's about to get caught without needing that movement lines. The frisbee was caught. So I think the concept just overall, it falls under because it's not a concept that is not your own. And I implore you, encourage you that the next project that you start, I want you to look into what has already been created and start to understand why this works. Why does a frisbee being thrown in this way and having this curve, having this action in this way shown, why does that work? And why is it better than the concept you were thinking of? I want you to do that with every project you do. Research is part of design. Okay? I have not. I think there was one other person But I don't see it. Eagle. Oh. Okay. Eagle wanted me to look over this latest project. Velo Tribe by Eagle. Great. About Velo Tribe is your ultimate online destination for high-quality cycling gear tailored to the needs of young adults. Join our cycling tribe today. Embark on thrilling adventures with gear that matches your energy and style. Love it. Logo meaning. Double arrow represents speed and indication. Yep. One arrow is the V, right? Shield border indicates a group or tribe. Right. Looks good. This little tiny arrow at the very bottom, I'm not sure if that is needed. I squint my eyes and I can't really see it. It blends in with the border anyway, so I would almost just like delete that and just keep everything else. Unless you're cycling tribe, join now. Right, looks good. Good for a web page. We got a flag. We have an app, an UI of an app, which looks good. Different bikes. Choose your bike. Choose your style. Looks good to me. Ouch. Good concept. Goes right into why I should care about this, the concepts behind it. I'd want a little bit more elaboration into the colors that were chosen here. More about the font that was chosen as well. If this is an actual client and what it was meant to accomplish versus a personal project and what it was meant to accomplish. Yeah, that's kind of where I sit with that personally. So but anyway, we're going on 2.5 hours of this. I want to start cutting things off now. Been doing this for a while. My throat's getting a little hoarse and I'm getting hungry. If you want to have me review things with you, open up a file with you, and work through a particular project organization-wise or help you design something, the Shoply store has a one-on-one hands-on that you can redeem and schedule a time to actually work with me, work together on a project. It's more hands-on than what these are, where I open the file up with you and such. But I do need to go. I really appreciate all you guys' participation. I'll be sure to get everyone the nibs that they deserve. I'll be going back into the chat and giving everyone their nibs. So, but there will be a new event calendar that gets released by next Wednesday, just in time to announce the following Saturday's event. If you have ideas for an event that you'd like to see come to fruition, I'm still open to suggestions, as I still need to design and lay out what I want to do this month. So, anyway, really appreciate you guys coming in. I get extra nibs for a compliment. Maybe I have a lot of nibs to give to people, so excuse me. If you have not done /check-in yet, trying out a new thing where additional functionality by checking in once a week, you're able to get yourself 1,000 nibs by answering a prompt that will change each week. So definitely encourage you to answer the prompt honestly. Just spamming a bunch of words to check in, it's not really the point of it. These are not public, so if you share anything private, it will not be seen by anyone but moderators. So really thank everyone for joining today. Expect a bunch of different nibs coming your way. And and there you go. Sunday we have, or I guess tomorrow, whatever that is for you, we have a new bounty, the design bounty that's going to be announced, and it is not a logo. It is going to be a poster, I think. Poster brief. So if you want to earn some really easy nibs that way, then definitely use your nibs to make a purchase of that. So I will be heading out. Thank you so much for joining today. And I will catch you guys on the flip side and see you in the server. You have a wonderful day. And you guys have a good one.